The medical room was white and clean. Dr. Maya Rodriguez sat in a chair across from the creature that had once been her enemy. The alien's skin was green and covered with old scars. His yellow eyes looked tired, like someone who had seen too much pain. Keffer was the last living commander from the Zephyrian war fleet. 3 years had passed since the war ended, but the memories still hurt him. His long fingers shook as he reached for the water cup on the table between them. "You want to know about the war," Keffer said. His voice was deep and rough. "You want to know why we lost to your kind." Maya nodded. She was a scientist who studied alien life. The government had asked her to interview this survivor. They needed to understand what happened during those terrible years of fighting. "I will tell you," the alien said. "But you will not like what you hear." Keffer closed his eyes and remembered. His people, the Zephyrians, had ruled space for 1,000 years. They were smart and strong. Their ships were fast and their weapons were powerful. No enemy had ever beaten them in battle. "We first saw humans near the Vega system," he began. "Your colony ships had entered our space. We thought you were just another weak race trying to steal our territory." The alien's clawed hand touched one of the scars on his neck. "General Vexmore was our leader then. He looked at your ships and laughed. Your vessels were made of cheap metal welded together. Your weapons were simple bullets and rockets. You had no energy shields like us." Maya listened quietly. She knew this story would be hard to hear, but she needed to understand. "The general called you barely evolved animals playing with fire," Keffer continued. "He said it would take one battle to make you run away. We sent 47 of our best warships to destroy your 12 ships near New Boston Colony." The alien stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see the peaceful space station where different alien races lived together now. It was hard to believe that just 3 years ago, they were all trying to kill each other. "Captain Jake Murphy commanded your defense fleet," Keffer said. "We had studied him. He was young for a human commander, maybe 35 years old. He had a wife and 2 children back on Earth. The general thought this would make him weak, more likely to surrender to save his own life." Maya knew about Captain Murphy. There was a statue of him on Earth now. But she wanted to hear this story from the enemy's point of view. "The battle should have lasted 5 minutes, the alien said. "Our ships were faster and stronger. Our weapons could destroy your vessels with one shot. We moved in formation, planning to surround your little fleet and demand surrender." Keffer turned back to face Maya. His yellow eyes were bright with old memories. But Murphy did not run. He did not ask for mercy. Instead, he did something we had never seen before in 1,000 years of war. The alien sat down again. His hands were shaking more now. "Murphy's ship, the Denver, took heavy damage from our first attack. The hull was cracked, the engines were failing, and half his crew was dead. Any smart commander would have retreated to fight another day. This is what we expected." Maya leaned forward. She could see that this memory still troubled the alien warrior. Instead, Murphy turned his dying ship toward our command vessel. He ordered his engineer, Lisa Chang, to remove all safety controls from the reactor. He told his gunner, Pete Williams, to keep firing until the last second. Keffer's voice got quieter. We watched as the Denver accelerated straight at our flagship. The human crew knew they were going to die, but they kept working. Chang was pushing buttons even as fire spread through her engine room. Williams was shooting at us even as his station filled with smoke. The alien touched another scar, this one on his arm. The Denver hit our command ship at almost light speed. Both vessels were destroyed instantly. 3,000 Zephyrian warriors died in that explosion, including our fleet commander. Maya felt a chill. She had read about this battle, but hearing it from the enemy made it more real. "We did not understand," Keffer said. "Why would Murphy throw away his life and his ship?" He gained nothing from this attack. His sacrifice did not save the colony or win the battle. The alien looked confused even after all these years. But then the other human ships did something else we did not expect. They used the explosion and our confusion to escape. 11 ships got away when we should have destroyed them all. Maya realized what the alien was saying. The sacrifice wasn't pointless. It saved the other ships. Yes, Kethver said. But we did not see this then. We thought Murphy was just crazy, or maybe humans were too stupid to know when they were. Beaten, the alien warrior stood up again and began walking around the room. The next battle was at Kepler Station. Commander Susan Blake led 20 human ships against 60 of ours. Again, we expected easy victory. Maya had heard of Blake too. She was famous for her clever tactics. Blake's ships were old and slow, Kethver continued. Some were cargo vessels, with guns bolted to their hulls. Others were civilian ships that had been turned into warships. We laughed at them. The alien stopped walking and looked directly at Maya. We stopped laughing when Blake turned a retreat into an ambush. She pretended to run away, then had her ships hide behind asteroids. When we followed, thinking we had won, her forces attacked from all sides. Kethver's yellow eyes grew wide. But the worst part was watching human crews keep fighting, even when their ships were breaking apart. Captain Tony Martinez kept shooting at us, even after his ship lost power. His crew was working by emergency lights, but they would not stop. The alien sat down heavily in his chair. We began to realize that humans fight differently than any race we had ever met. You do not surrender when you are losing. You do not run when you are scared. You find ways to hurt us, even when you are dying. Maya could see that these memories were painful for the alien. But she needed to hear more. After 5 battles, we had won every fight, Kethver said. But we had lost more ships than we expected. More importantly, we had lost something else. Our warriors were starting to fear you. The alien's voice became very quiet. They began to call human vessels death ships. They said that fighting humans was like fighting ghosts who refused to stay dead. Maya understood now why the government wanted this interview. The war had not been won by superior human technology or tactics. It had been won by something much more basic and terrifying too. The enemy. You want to know why we lost the war? Kethver asked. It is because we finally understood what we were really fighting against. Dr. Maya Rodriguez poured fresh water into both cups on the table. Kethver had been talking for an hour, and his voice was getting rough. The alien warrior took a long drink before continuing his story. The fear started after the Battle of Centauri. Prime, Kethver said. We had cornered 15 human ships in an asteroid field. They had nowhere to run, and we had them surrounded with 40 vessels. Our commander, War Chief Velthak, was certain of victory. The alien's scarred hands gripped his cup tightly. The humans were led by Captain Danny Rogers. His ship was an old cargo hauler called the Buffalo. It had thick armor, but weak weapons. We thought it would be easy to destroy. Maya listened carefully. She had never heard of Captain Rogers, but that did not surprise her. Many heroes from the war were not famous. Velthak ordered the attack, Kethver continued. Our ships fired energy beams at the human fleet. We hit the Buffalo first, tearing huge holes in its hull. Black smoke poured out of the wounds. We could see fires burning inside through the broken metal. The alien warrior stood up and walked to the window again. Looking out at the peaceful stars seemed to help him remember. Any normal ship would have exploded or surrendered, he said. But Rogers kept fighting. Even worse, he began moving his dying ship toward our formation. We thought he was trying to ram us like Murphy had done before. Kethver turned back to Maya. But Rogers was not planning to sacrifice himself. He was planning something much more clever. As the Buffalo moved closer to our ships, it began dropping cargo containers from its damaged hull. Maya frowned. Cargo. Containers? We thought they were just supplies falling out of the broken ship, the alien explained. We ignored them. This was a mistake. The containers were filled with explosives and radio transmitters. Rogers was planting mines in the middle of our formation. The alien's yellow eyes grew bright with what might have been respect. When the buffalo was close enough, Rogers sent the signal. 20 cargo containers exploded at the same time, right? In the center of our fleet. The explosion destroyed 6 of our ships and damaged 10 more. Maya could picture the scene. A dying human ship turning itself into a weapon delivery system. But the worst part came next, Cuthbert said. While we were confused and trying to help our damaged ships, the other human vessels attacked. They came out of the asteroid field like angry wasps. Their weapons were weak, but they aimed for our wounded ships. The alien warrior sat down again. His voice became quieter. In 10 minutes, the humans had destroyed or crippled half our fleet. We had to retreat. Velthak lost his command after that battle. The High Council said he was beaten by inferior enemies. Maya could see that this memory still bothered the alien. What happened to Captain Rogers? The Buffalo was destroyed in the final explosion, Cuthbert said. Rogers and his crew of 43 humans died. But their sacrifice saved the other 14 ships and 4,000 human lives. The alien touched one of his scars. This is when we began to understand that humans think about war differently than we do. We fight to win territory or resources. We retreat when the cost becomes too high. But humans seem to fight for something else, something we could not understand. Maya waited for him to continue. The next battle was even worse for us, Cuthbert said. We attacked the human colony at Wolf 359. It was a mining world with only 2 million people. We brought 80 ships to crush their defenses quickly. The alien's voice became heavy with old pain. The humans had only 8 warships to defend the planet. Their commander was a woman named Colonel Amy Fisher. She was young, maybe 28 years old. Our intelligence said she had never commanded a space battle before. Maya nodded. She was beginning to understand the pattern. We expected Fisher to surrender when she saw our fleet, Cuthbert continued. Instead, she sent us a message. She said that if we wanted the planet, we would have to take it from her dead hands. The alien warrior looked directly at Maya. We thought this was just brave talk, but Fisher meant every word. When we attacked, her 8 ships did not try to fight us in space. Instead, they retreated to the planet's surface. Maya was confused. The surface? But spaceships cannot fight well in atmosphere. Exactly, Cuthbert said. Fisher landed her ships in the colony cities. She turned them into ground fortresses. Our ships had to be careful not to kill the civilians we were trying to capture. The alien's voice grew bitter. Fisher had made the entire planet into a battlefield. Every building could hide human soldiers. Every street could be a trap. We had to fight for every block, every house. Maya was starting to understand the clever strategy. The battle lasted 3 months, Cuthbert said. We lost 20 ships and thousands of warriors. Fisher's forces were finally destroyed, but by then the human reinforcements had arrived. Admiral Kate Morrison brought 50 ships and drove us away from the system. The alien stood up and began pacing around the room. This is when our soldiers began to change. They started having nightmares about fighting humans. They would wake up screaming about death ships and suicide attacks. Maya could see the pain in the alien's yellow eyes. Your warriors were getting scared. More than scared, Cuthbert said. They were starting to break. We had fought many wars, but always against enemies who wanted to live. Humans seemed to prefer death over defeat. This was something our minds could not understand. The alien stopped pacing and looked out the window. Again, the worst battle was at Titan Station. We surrounded the human base with 100 ships. They had only 20 vessels for defense. Their commander was Captain Bill Harper, an old man who should have retired years ago. Maya waited for the story to continue. Harper sent us a message, Cuthbert said. He told us we could take the station, but we would pay a price that would make us remember this day forever. We laughed at the old man's words. The alien's voice became very quiet. Harper had turned the entire station into a bomb. When our ships moved close enough, he detonated the reactor core. The explosion destroyed the station and 40 of our vessels. Harper and his crew of 800 humans died instantly. Maya felt a chill. He killed his own people to hurt you. Yes, Cuthbert said, but that was not the worst part. Before the explosion, Harper had evacuated all the civilians to escape pods. He sent them to ward our ships, knowing we would not fire on helpless people. While we were rescuing the humans, Harper's remaining ships attacked us. The alien warrior sat down heavily. In one battle, we lost 40 ships and 3,000 warriors. The humans lost 1 station and 20 ships. But they had saved 15,000 civilian lives and hurt us badly. Maya could see that this memory haunted the alien. Your people started to fear human tactics. We began to understand that humans do not fight like other races, Cuthbert said. Other enemies fight to win. Humans fight to protect something more important than their own lives. This made them the most dangerous enemy we had ever faced. The alien looked at Maya with tired eyes. We were winning every battle, but we were losing the war. Each victory cost us more than we could afford. And the humans never stopped fighting, never stopped trying to hurt us. Maya realized that Part 2 had shown her something important. The war was not really about technology or strategy. It was about 2 different ways of thinking about life and death. Cuthbert was quiet for a long time. His yellow eyes stared at the table between him and Dr. Maya Rodriguez. The alien's breathing was slow and heavy, like someone trying to forget a bad dream. The war changed after the Battle of Proxima Station, he finally said. Everything we thought we knew about humans was wrong. Everything we believed about war was useless. Maya could see that this memory was the worst one for the alien warrior. His scarred hands were shaking more than before. Admiral Helen Foster commanded the human defense, Cuthbert continued. She had 30 ships to protect the station. We brought our grand fleet, 200 of our best warships. Supreme Commander Velther himself led the attack. The alien stood up and walked to the corner of the room. He seemed to need distance from Maya to tell this story. Proxima Station was important to humans, he said. It was their biggest military base outside of Earth. 50,000 people lived there. It had weapons factories, ship repair facilities, and training centers. Losing it would hurt the human war effort badly. Maya knew about Proxima Station. Every human child learned about what happened there in school. We surrounded the system, Cuthbert said. Foster's fleet was trapped. They could not escape, and they could not fight 200 ships. Velther sent a message demanding surrender. He promised to treat the humans well if they gave up. The alien's voice became bitter. Foster sent back a single word, no. Maya waited for him to continue. Velther was angry, Cuthbert said. He had offered mercy, but the humans refused. He ordered the attack to begin. Our ships moved toward the station in perfect formation. Victory seemed certain. The alien warrior turned to face Maya. His yellow eyes were bright with old fear. But Foster was not planning to defend the station in the normal way. While our ships approached, she was evacuating everyone. 50,000 people were loaded onto transport ships and sent to the outer planets. We could have stopped them, but we thought Foster was just saving civilians before surrendering. Maya felt a chill. She knew what was coming next. Foster kept only essential military personnel on the station, Cuthbert continued. Maybe 500 people. The rest were sent away to safety. We thought this meant she was preparing to surrender. The alien's voice grew quieter. We were wrong. Foster was preparing to turn the entire station into a weapon. Maya leaned forward. This was the part of the story that had made Admiral Foster a legend. The station was built inside a large asteroid. Kethver explained. For months, human engineers had been placing nuclear charges throughout the rock. They had turned their own base into a massive bomb. The alien warrior began pacing around the room again. Colonel Ryan Torres was Foster's second in command. He volunteered to stay behind and trigger the explosion. He knew he would die, but Foster needed someone she could trust to wait for the right moment. Maya could picture the scene. Hundreds of human soldiers preparing to sacrifice themselves for the greater good. When our grand fleet moved close to the station, Torres activated the charges, Kethver said. The explosion was like watching a star being born. The entire asteroid shattered into millions of pieces. The blast destroyed 20 of our ships instantly. The alien stopped pacing and gripped the back of his chair. But the explosion was only the beginning. The shattered asteroid created a debris field that trapped our remaining ships. Sharp rocks the size of buildings were flying through space in all directions. Maya could imagine the chaos. 200 warships suddenly caught in a deadly storm of spinning rock and metal. While we were trying to navigate the debris field, Foster attacked, Kethver continued. Her 30 ships came from the edge of the system where they had been hiding. Our ships were trapped, damaged, and confused. We could not form proper battle lines. The alien's voice became full of respect and fear. Foster had studied our tactics. For months. She knew exactly how we would approach the station. The entire battle was a trap, and we had walked right into it. Maya understood now. The humans had sacrificed their most important base to destroy the enemy fleet. The battle lasted 6 hours, Kethver said. We lost 120 ships. Foster lost 18. But more importantly, we lost something else. We lost our belief that we could win this war. The alien warrior sat down heavily in his chair. Velther survived, but he was never the same. He had led the Grand Fleet for 20 years. He had never lost a battle. But the humans had destroyed most of his ships using their own base as a weapon. Maya could see that this defeat had broken something in the Zephyrian military mind. The worst part was learning about the volunteers, Kethver said quietly. Foster had asked for people to stay behind and help with the explosion. She needed engineers to place the charges and soldiers to protect them. She told everyone they would probably die. The alien's yellow eyes were wet. Maya realized he was crying. 300 humans volunteered, Kethver said. They knew they were going to die, but they volunteered anyway. Lieutenant Amy Parker led the engineering team. She had a husband and 2 children on Earth, but she stayed to help destroy the station. Maya felt her own eyes getting wet. They chose to die to save others. Yes, Kethver said. Parker and her team worked for 3 days to place all the charges. They could have escaped in the last transport ships, but they stayed to make sure the plan would work. When Torres triggered the explosion, they were still inside the station. The alien warrior was quiet for a long moment. This is when we began to understand what we were really fighting. We thought humans were just another race trying to expand their territory. But we were wrong. Maya waited for him to explain. Other races fight for resources, for power, for territory, Kethver said. But humans fight for each other. They will die to protect strangers. They will destroy their own cities to save their children. They will sacrifice everything to keep their people free. The alien looked directly at Maya. We could never understand this. In our society, the strong rule the weak. Survival is the most important thing. But humans seem to believe that some things are more valuable than life itself. Maya realized that the alien was describing the fundamental difference between their species. After Proxima Station, our warriors began to refuse. Orders, Kethver continued. They were afraid to fight humans. They said it was like fighting demons who could not be killed. Every victory against humans cost us more ships, more lives, more hope. The alien's voice became very quiet. Velther tried to continue the war, but his own officers began to question him. They said that fighting humans was like trying to fight a forest fire with their bare hands. Every battle made the humans stronger and more dangerous. Maya could see that the Zephyrian military was falling apart. The final blow came when we learned about the volunteers' families, Kethver said. Parker's husband sent a message to our government. He said he was proud of his wife for dying to protect humanity. The other families said the same thing. The alien warrior looked confused and sad. We could not understand parents who were happy that their children had died in war. We could not understand a species that celebrated death for others. This was when we knew we had lost. Maya realized that Part 3 had shown the turning point of the war. The humans had won not by being stronger, but by being willing to sacrifice everything for each other. Kethver was silent for a very long time. Dr. Maya Rodriguez could see that the alien warrior was struggling with his final memories. His scarred hands trembled as he reached for his water cup. The end came at Luna Base, he finally said. Earth's moon. It was the last battle of the war, though we did not know it then. The alien's voice was barely above a whisper. Maya had to lean forward to hear him. By then, our grand fleet was broken, Kethver continued. We had lost most of our ships at Proxima Station. Our warriors were afraid to fight. Many had deserted and gone home. But the High Council ordered one final attack on Earth itself. Maya felt her heart beat faster. Luna Base was where her grandfather had served during the war. We brought everything we had left, the alien said. 50 ships, 10,000 warriors. It was all that remained of our once great fleet. General Vexmore led the attack himself. He said we would either conquer Earth or die trying. Kethver stood up and walked to the window. The stars outside looked peaceful now, but Maya knew they had once been filled with death and fire. The humans had only one small base on the moon, the alien continued. Luna Base, it was not a military station. It was a research facility with maybe 200 people. Most of them were scientists, not soldiers. Maya knew this was not entirely true. Luna Base had been converted into a military outpost during the war, but it was still small compared to the Zephyrian force. Commander Greg Watson was in charge of the base, Kethver said. He was an older man, maybe 50 years old. He had been a Marine for 25 years. Our intelligence said he had 3 children back on Earth. The alien's voice grew heavy with old sadness. Watson had only 200 Marines to defend the base. We had 10,000 warriors in powered armor. The battle should have lasted 1 hour. Maya waited for the rest of the story. We surrounded Luna Base and demanded surrender, Kethver said. Watson sent back a message. He said his orders were to hold the base until Earth's evacuation was complete. He would not surrender. The alien turned back to face Maya. His yellow eyes were bright with tears. We did not know about the evacuation, he said. While we had been fighting across the galaxy, the humans had been preparing for our final attack. They were moving their children and elderly people to safe worlds far from Earth. Maya realized what this meant. The humans had been buying time with every battle, every sacrifice. Watson told us he would hold Luna Base for as long as needed, Kethver continued. He said his Marines would fight to the last man. We thought he was bluffing. 200 soldiers against 10,000. It was impossible. The alien warrior sat down again. His whole body seemed to shrink with the weight of memory. The attack began at dawn, he said. Our warriors landed on the moon's surface in dropships. We expected to overrun the base quickly. But Watson had prepared for us. Maya could picture the scene. A small human base surrounded by thousands of alien warriors. The Marines had turned every building into a fortress, Kethver said. They had hidden weapons everywhere. Every doorway was a trap. Every corridor was a killing ground. We had to fight for every room, every hallway. The alien's voice became filled with respect. Watson's men fought like demons. They would not retreat. They would not surrender. When their ammunition ran out, they fought with knives. When their knives broke, they fought with their bare hands. Maya felt tears in her own eyes. These were the stories her grandfather had told her about the war. The battle lasted 18 days, Kethver said. 18 days of constant fighting. We lost 3,000 warriors taking that small base. Watson lost all but 12 of his Marines. The alien was quiet for a long moment. On the final day, Watson sent one last message to Earth. He said to tell his children that their father had kept his promise. Then he detonated the base's reactor core. Maya gasped. He destroyed the base? Yes, Kethver said. The explosion killed Watson and his remaining men. It also killed 500 of our warriors who were inside the base. But that was not the worst part. The alien warrior looked directly at Maya. The worst part was what we learned from Watson's final transmission. The evacuation was complete. Earth's children and elderly people were safe on distant worlds. Watson and his Marines had bought the time they needed. Maya understood now. The sacrifice had not been in vain. But there was more, Kethver continued. Watson's transmission was heard by every human ship in the solar system. Within hours, a rescue fleet arrived. Admiral Kate Morrison brought 100 ships to drive us away from Earth. The alien's voice became bitter. We had won the battle, but we had lost everything else. Our fleet was destroyed. Our warriors were dead or dying. And the humans had saved what they most wanted to protect. Maya could see that this final battle had broken the Zephyrian will to fight. That night, General Vexmore called a meeting of the surviving commanders. Kethver said. There were only 5 of us left. The general looked at us with tired eyes and asked a simple question. How do you defeat an enemy that fights like this? The alien warrior spread his hands. None of us had an answer. We had won every battle. But the humans had achieved their real goals. They had saved their people. They had protected what mattered most to them. Maya realized that the aliens had finally understood what they were fighting against. The general made the decision to surrender, Kethver said. He sent a message to the human government asking for peace talks. He said that the Zephyrian Empire could not continue fighting an enemy that valued death over defeat. The alien looked out the window again. The war ended 3 days later. We had fought for 4 years and lost everything. Our fleet was gone. Our warriors were dead. Our people were afraid to leave their home worlds. Maya could see the pain in the alien's eyes. But why? Why did you lose to a smaller, weaker enemy? Kethver turned to face her. Because we never understood what we were fighting, he said. We thought we were fighting another race trying to expand their territory. But we were fighting something much more dangerous. The alien's voice became very quiet. We were fighting a species that puts the survival of others above their own survival. Every human soldier was willing to die for strangers. Every human commander was willing to sacrifice their ship to save others. Maya waited for him to continue. This is why I agreed to this interview, Kethver said. Someone needs to warn the galaxy about humans. Your species does not fight wars the way other races do. You fight as if the universe itself depends on your victory. The alien warrior stood up and walked to the door. We thought we were conquering primitives, he said. Instead, we learned that humans are the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Not because you are strong, but because you are willing to die for each other. Maya watched as Kethver reached for the door handle. Where will you go now? She asked. The alien looked back at her. "Home," he said, "to warn my people that humans are not just another race that reached the stars. You are the race that the stars should fear." With those words, Keffer left the room. Maya sat alone, thinking about everything she had heard. The war had not been won by superior technology or tactics. It had been won by something much simpler and more powerful. It had been won by humans willing to sacrifice everything for each other.